Hey. All right. So let's see. We're 10 minutes, 9 minutes early. So I'm trying to make sure that everything is good. Any questions that anybody has? How is everybody feeling? We're a little bit early, so let me see. Edit. Right. How do we record this? Hey, everyone. Like, can I record this? How do I record this, guys? Dun, dun, dun. We're early. Okay, cool. We're early, so just let me know what questions you guys have. I'm bringing everything up. I just want to make sure that we are set to go. Make sure you guys drop your comments, messages. Okay, cool. Hey, everybody. We are kind of early, so if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys drop them in the chat. I'm trying to make sure that our live is going to be recorded. A live stream. Okay, it's my first time using YouTube Live. Okay, cool. So it says it should record. So, hey. Hi, how are you? Okay, cool. So it says we automatically do that. So I'm making sure that we're good on all fronts. I'm going to share my screen in a bit. What am I doing? Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. Let me share. Do I share? Entire screen. Yes. Right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. Whoa, that looks crazy. Okay, we're gonna move you guys over here. All right, cool. We're gonna go over here. All right. So I can see everybody's chat right there. How's everybody doing? We have 5 people. Cool. All right. Whoop. Ay, Dios mío. All right. Hide. There we go. All right, cool. Hey, yeah, welcome. So the previous sessions, if you go to app.jmtt.ai, they're going to be under the Learn tab. So when you first create your free account, there's going to be like an onboarding thing, and there's going to be like a tutorial. There's a video on the main screen, and so that will take you here. Okay, and then under Bootcamp here, let me click it. This is where you'll see all of them. I used YouTube to embed them, so for people that have watched them before, the quality is a lot better. They're unlisted right now on YouTube, so the only way that you can access them is through here, but that might change. I'll send an email out just to see. But yeah, so this is where they're hosted right now. And then if you have any questions, you can always drop questions in the community. So the community is free as well, which is why I like you guys to create an account, because then if you guys have questions, I can see those questions and then answer them. Does that help? We'll go back to Learn. So yeah. Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right, all right, so. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure that email went out, so we're good. We're just gonna give everybody like a couple of minutes to join. Yes, yeah, for sure. I definitely want you guys to create the account, because the free tier has so many resources, right? So if I just share the videos with you guys on YouTube, like, yes, it'll be cool. However, everything that we've gone in the bootcamp is inside the Learn. So all of this education is included in the free tier. The journal is included in the free tier. So you get access to this. These are just, my test ones. You get access to this community channel. So you guys will ask questions there. You get access to Aura, which is kind of like your little AI trading coach. And so if you ever have a question on anything, and if we have a lesson on it, it'll link the lesson on there to take you to it. So that's why I encourage everybody to create a free account. But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy you're here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we're waiting for people. Okay, but everybody can see my screen well, right? Like, I wanted to make sure that everything was covered. Let's see, I want to bring up trading view. Yeah, that looks so much better. Hey, Dr. Flo, how are you? Yeah, this looks so much better. You guys can see it. So today we're going to just kind of recap everything that we've gone over so far, just because on here on YouTube, compared to like TikTok and Instagram, you're going to be able to see this a lot better. And I think it's going to make a lot more sense what we've been talking about. So we're going to recap this. Then we're going to start getting into Thinkorswim a little bit more, because they also have charting there. So I want to show you guys the charts there, even though I use TradingView the most. And then, yeah, so I'm going to give everybody like a couple more minutes. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I was early because I have never live streamed on YouTube before. I'm very new to like live streaming. I don't know if you guys have gone into my accounts, like my older videos, and I posted there for a while, a lot. I had like a video editor and things like that, but I am not like a social media person. And so, yeah, I have to get used to this whole streaming thing. Oh man. So yeah. Any questions? Let's go back to hi, how are you? Hey, hey. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this for now because I want to share some things with you guys that have come up. So yeah. Hi, hi, hi. Hey, Brina. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to give everybody like one more minute before we dive into all of this. I already started yapping, but we're good. Oh man. So many good, exciting things in the pipeline for everyone, for the platform. Yeah, I'm excited. It's Wednesday. I'm so stoked. All right. So it's 2 minutes after. Okay. So if you're new here, welcome. Please go ahead and create a free account at app.jmtt.ai. Awesome. I'm so glad that you're making your way through the learning modules. Definitely give me feedback. I made a lot of updates just from last night to this afternoon for you guys because I do keep metrics in terms of like, okay, if you guys start the modules, like, do people finish them? And if they don't finish them, where's the drop off rate? Because I want the education to be good, right? Like, I don't just want to be like, all right, here's everything, and then kind of like leave you guys hanging and leaving you guys to figure this out. So, all that to say is in the community, definitely drop your suggestions, drop your questions, and things like that, because we had a wonderful community member yesterday ask, okay, so you have shown us all these features, and you're showing us this education, but what do we actually do, right? So I realized that there was a disconnect with the onboarding and kind of just bringing everything together, which completely my fault, right? So this is what I did to kind of fix that and then help you guys start understanding a little bit more. So instead of we used to have like the first module was Bootcamp. Yeah, it's definitely a lot. I know. So our first module used to be the boot camp, and then we had overview and resources, and then we kind of started getting into everything. However, what I did is I renamed the overview and resources to start here, and I added some things. So if you go into here, the lesson path, right, it'll say the loop, how JNT fits together. Um, it basically orients you to, okay, like how do I actually use this platform and what do I do? So if we scroll through, it'll give you all of this. The map, it shows you how to use every tool based on the trading day. Excuse me. So, for example, right, I have briefly talked about like my morning ritual, and these are just like welcome to, the training, the walkthrough down here, some of the links that I have shared with you guys. So, I have shared with you guys kind of more or less my morning walkthrough of I will check, 5 things to know in CNBC, and I will check Forex Factory. Like if there's news today, that's usually my morning ritual. And then I'll come into the chart on Trading View and I'll mark my pre-market high and my pre-market low. Then I wait for market to open. And then I will go and pull my flow feed. Okay. So this map, the second one, will kind of fill in all the gaps based on that. Okay. And so because I used to check all of those things individually, I made a market prep tab, right? So in the market prep, we've kind of briefly have talked about this, but I made my own like 5 things to know based on data. Okay. So it'll pull the 5 things to know, why it matters the outlook. It'll kind of give me a scanner based on like, okay, I should probably pay attention to ARM because there's a lot of flow, right? And it'll tell me the context behind it. It'll give me the earnings. And then down here, it'll give me the economic calendar. So it's the same thing that I used to check, just in one place, okay? And then key support or support and resistance levels for SPY, QQQ, IWM, and the VIX, which these are also in the dashboard. Okay, so you guys can always glance at here and it'll tell you more or less what the market is doing. So hopefully that helps. If not, let me know, because I want everything to be helpful for you guys. Now, what I started doing too is inside some of these, I can't access them now unless I go individually to each lesson, but I made like an exercise lab so that as you guys go through the curriculum and the course and everything, you guys can practice what you guys are learning. So you guys can do that manually where, you go and mark up your chart and then you send me the image or you send me the link. You can post it in the chat in the community. And then I'll help you review it. I'll help you, identify yes, you identified your support and resistance. You did all of that. Or you can go in here if you don't want to post it, but you still kind of want that feedback and make sure that you guys are identifying the things right. I added those labs. If I click on it here, it's not in here anymore because this was only for my review. Once I approved it, then it went into the curriculum. And when I say like I approve, like I have Claude help me build a lot of this stuff, and then I approve, and then it plugs it into the modules. Okay. So, for example, if you go in here and stuff like that, like it'll show it. I need to find them. I have a whole list. I need to find them. But yeah, so as you guys go through that, you guys will start seeing that. Okay. So, any questions so far? I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. Okay. I don't think there's any questions. All right. Awesome. Okay. So, one more thing before we go back to charts, right? So in the bootcamp, I re-uploaded all the videos. I was hosting them on Loom before. And the audio quality, for some reason, like the download was fine, but the Loom was not. And I could not figure out what was happening. So I embedded them all onto YouTube and the quality is way better. It doesn't lag anymore and the audio sounds better. And then there's closed captions. So if you guys have been trying to rewatch those, but you were just like, I can't sit through this because it stinks, the quality should be better. So now you can go and rewatch them. Okay. So that's where they'll be. All right. So last session, right, we started getting into trading view. So we've already had our trading view walkthrough. That's already been recorded. There's also, if you go to the platform walkthroughs, there's another one already recorded. But I'm so excited that we're here because on YouTube, you can see the whole window now, right? And so looking at this, the only levels that I updated today were my pre-market high, my pre-market low, and then last week's close, okay? I added my previous week close, so let's go to my weekly, right? I'm on my weekly chart, which means that each candle represents 1 week. This one is still moving because that's this week, right? So this week has not closed. This candle is last week. So what I did is I marked my previous week high, which is up here. It's already in my box, but I marked it anyway because my pivot point is right here. And then my previous week low, and then my previous week close. My previous week low kind of matches already up with my weekly. So they're kind of stacked on each other. Usually I don't like that, but I wanted to show you guys, okay? So those are my only levels that I have updated. If we go down to my daily, you can see here, this is kind of my area of resistance, right? And if you guys remember, I drew the box because I have my all-time high, I have my previous week high, and I had another level here. So I already knew that this area was going to be very strong, and I kind of just wanted to make sure that if I was going to get into a trade, I paid attention to that area. So that's what I use my boxes for. And then this is my area of support. So same concept. And so, yeah, is all of this making more sense now that you guys see it this way? Let me go to my 1 hour. Now that you guys see it this way, do you guys kind of see, where support, resistance, and like the levels and kind of why they matter? It doesn't make sense to you yet. Okay. Okay, what are you lost on? Is it like your key levels, your support and resistance, your chart? Um, is it entering a trade? What is still kind of confusing you? I said a lot. Or do you mean yes to all? Key levels. Okay, cool. So our key levels, right, are just yes to all. Our key levels are going to be our levels of support and resistance, right, across all time frames. Like usually I start at the 6 months. Okay, cool. So we haven't gone over entering a trade yet. So we're still okay to be lost on that. Okay. I want to make sure that we understand key levels because that's going to be important to entering trades. Okay. So we start at 6 months, we go to a quarterly, right? And all we're doing is we're trying to identify our support and our resistance. Our support is going to be like our floor level, right? And our resistance is going to be like our ceiling level. And it's important to understand that because we want to know what does price usually do here, right? So for example, I'm going to add this one just because it's so far down and it's a very clear level, right? You can see how price went all the way up to this area roughly, right? So 478.30. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, right? And then it looks like we hit a ceiling and we've got pushed down, right? Then it kind of looks like we hit a floor, we came back up. Do you guys see that? So that previous ceiling is your resistance. It broke through and then we came back down and we touched it and then bounced back up. So that is now your previous resistance is now a support. Okay. So that's what we want to do on our 6 month, our 3 month, our monthly, weekly, daily, right? Eventually it's going to look crazy like this because we're moving down time frames. But as we move down, we're going to be adding more of those levels. Do you guys see here? Okay. So that was all the way down here. We're moving up closer to where we actually are now, right? So this level here is our resistance, right? And then this was our level of support. And we just keep doing that. We keep adding those because we know that typically as traders, as investors, as people, when they see this price, if they see, hey, historically, this is where sellers step in. This is where people start selling because they start taking profits or whatever. Psychologically, they know that they tend to sell here. That's going to be my resistance. Okay. Our all-time high, because this is the highest that the S&P 500 has been. So we mark that as our all-time high. That's usually why I do it so thick, because I know I'm like, hey, we're kind of now, this price is kind of like uncharted territory for me, but that's still going to be a resistance. Okay. And then as we go down the time frames, I'm going to be labeling my levels for whatever time frame I label them as. Okay. Is that kind of clearing things up? Okay. So now we're in the weekly, which I explained my weekly levels. Now we're in daily. So each candlestick represents to the daily. I'm still laughing at the yes to all. Is that helping? And so there's still going to be support and resistance, right? Like what we want, those levels is we want to see, like my horizontal rays are typically like my lower time frames, and it's because I keep moving those that I don't do the horizontal line. But you can see here, so my pre-market high, my pre-market low, that will always be marked in my extended trading hours, right? So my cream area, I'm going to go to the 1 hour so you can see here, right? So my pre 30 minute. There we go. Okay. So my pre-market high, that was the highest that price got during pre-market. And then my pre-market low, this is the lowest price got during pre-market. And then usually I just turn that back off. Is that helpful? I'm going to go with, okay, so a ton of levels, maybe if you color code them, because right now it's so many levels and it's hard to understand where they should all apply to, which time frames. Yes, it does make sense. So what I do when I add my levels, right? I think I talked about this in one of the other calls, but when I add a line, what I usually do is, let me add it. Okay. I'm going to add a random line here. I say random, but I picked it here. Yes, there's what is called slippage, right? So it's not always going to be perfect. Okay. So sometimes we'll have wicks that go past it here, but I added it here because there's the bodies. We kind of have some slippage here, but we respected it here, here, more or less here, right? So this, I already know that this is kind of an area to pay attention to. So if you just add a horizontal line, it'll add it whatever the default is, right? So typically I think it's this, like the thin black line. And so if you double click it, it'll take you to the properties of that line. Okay. And if you go to style, you can change the color. You can change, how prominent you want it to show up. You can change the thickness. You can change it if you want it dotted, like that. If you want it solid, you can change the color. You can do whatever it is that you want, right? So for example, because we're just messing around with this, I'm going to do it lime green. Okay. That's a little hard to see. So we're just going to do it lime green. And then you can add text to it. So you can just say my sample line, right? Because that's what I'm using it as. You can say, hey, where do you want your text? You can do it middle. You can do it bottom. I like it middle, and I like it off to the right because I like to see it right next to price, but it's all personal preference. You can add the name here. You can see it here in the middle. You can add it to the left on this side. I like it right. Okay. You can also change the color of the text. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever is going to make sense for you. Because I have been doing this for so long, right? Like I know that for me, my pre-market ones are orange. And I said it was because to me, pre-market, I think of like the sunrise, right? I think of the sun. Yellow is going to be too light for me. So I just chose orange because that to me, I don't know, it's pre-market. My weekly levels, I just left them black just because I used to have them like purple. So I'm always kind of changing them. As long as you know what they are, you can use abbreviation, you can use the full word, whatever is easier for you. Okay. Say you're like, oh, that's kind of slightly off. Like say I wanted it up here, and instead of like dragging it, which I can, what I can do is instead I'm going to do 751.22, right? And so that's going to line up better with my wicks up here. So that's how you can change it. And then, visibility. As you change your time frames, do you want it visible on everything? I just leave everything clicked on. Okay. Then in order for you to have them like that all the time, instead of you having to manually do that every time, you can just go down to template and you can do save as. And if you save it here, you can type in a name. So I'm going to do my sample line, right? And then I'm going to do save. So now every time I add a line, there's my line, I'm going to add it down here. because this was the last one I used, it's going to save it as that. But say I don't want it as that. And then I'm going to go to my template. And in your template, whatever it is that you name it is what it's going to save it as. So for example, I'm going to do, let's do previous day close. Okay. My PDC, previous day close. So now that is going to be purple. Does that make sense? So what I have had some users do, because that still kind of confuses them, is the higher the time frame, the thicker the line. So you know how I said that, I'm going to delete this for now, right? You know how I said that up here, my all-time high is super thick? You can do that too. You can do for your 6 month, your quarterly, and your monthly, they can be your thickest lines. For your weekly, it can be slightly thicker. And then for your lower time frames, as you go down, you can do it less thick. And that is whatever is going to help you know what time frame that level matters the most, okay? Because if it has the most touches on a higher time frame, then that's going to be an even stronger level. But the levels matter because we want to be able to say, okay, you know what? We kind of, yes, we had some slippage. We went past this level of previous resistance. You can see here, it's resistance here. Oh, I forgot that I can do this. You can see here that it's resistance here, right? Resistance here. It broke through. We had slippage here. We kind of had slippage here and then here, right? But you can see that overall, this is a level. This is a point where price has been multiple times. Okay. So that to me is a level on the lower time frame because I didn't already have it. Okay. So when it's on the lower time frame, I just add a ray. Oh yeah, I'll answer that in a little bit. Because it's on a lower time frame, I like doing the ray because I like moving those as the week goes on, as the days go on, because then if you would just have tons of levels all the time, can that be helpful? Yes, but that can also be very overwhelming, and you can be like, well, now I have tons of levels and I have no idea what I'm looking at. Okay, so that's just personal preference. When I first have you guys practice, yes, at all the levels, and then as you guys gain experience on identifying all of these, then you can kind of go decide when you want to do your raise, how many levels you actually want on your smaller time frame, if you just want to move them, all of that. Okay. But these levels are to help you identify, okay, cool, you know what? Right now, I think we're going to head back down to pre-market high. If we do come back down to pre-market high, and I see that we are respecting pre-market high, we start forming a hammer at the bottom of the move. Remember our candlesticks that we learned? If I see that we come down here and we start making a hammer or a doji or something, chances are that we might push back up. And so now that to me is going to tell me that I might look for a call if we have that at our pre-market level. So the levels are just telling you what price tends to go to. The candles at those levels are going to give you an indication of what price could potentially do. Is that making a little bit more sense? While you guys answer that, I don't want to mess your username up. I don't know if it's Shani or Shani, but no. So there's a free tier where you get access to the entire curriculum and some of the tools. The 99 is for like okay, cool. The 99 is for the premium features, which is like your flow feed, your AI, like advanced analytics, all of that, because those are stuff that I pay for to get to the platform. So those are the premium features. But like the education, the paper trading, some features in the journal, some features of the AI coach, those are all free. So, okay, cool. I'm glad that that's making sense. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Is there anything else that you guys want me to cover in terms of key levels? Because I can recover our chart patterns. Or did that breakdown help? Okay, I'm just going to keep talking while I'm keeping an eye on the chat, okay? So when last time we talked about indicators, right? We talked about our pivot points. So I like to leave my pivot points on just as an added, like those are levels that I didn't. Awesome. Those my pivot points are just levels that I don't want to have to keep re-adding, right? So if I have a pivot point and I have a level, I'm just going to stay away from this area. Like instead of drawing a box, that just to me tells me like, hey, make sure that we either clear this level or clear this pivot point. Don't trade in between here. So I like my pivot points like that. I like to keep it simple. I like my ATR. Okay, so chart patterns. Awesome. Hey, Ashley. Awesome. Yeah, it the more you practice, especially while the market is open, the better. Even though I tell you guys how to do like back testing and stuff like that, I'm not a huge proponent of back test, and then go trade live. Like, yes, back test, but I want you guys to get as much repetition when the market is open as possible, because that's when you're really going to learn how your ticker moves. Like, for example, you can see how price like kind of goes between a few cents, like 69, 70, 71, 69, like things like that, right? Like it's pretty like smooth. There's some tickers kind of like Netflix, SMCI, those like jump all of a sudden. Okay. So I like you guys seeing in real time how the ticker moves to see if that's something that you are comfortable with. Okay. And nothing beats all of that. Yeah. Tesla sometimes it moves like this and all of a sudden it just goes. So I definitely like that you guys do that. Awesome. I'm glad that you think it's a great breakdown. Okay. So last time we briefly covered chart patterns. We covered them very fast because I wanted to kind of start showing you guys what the chart patterns are. I'm going to go to the 1 hour because I think that was a little clearer. Okay, so I tried looking for indicators to help identify chart patterns. There are some, but the reason that I want you guys to learn as much of this as possible without indicators is because indicators, all they are is code that reads the data, right? But that means that they have to wait for the data to actually publish. So it has to wait for the candle to close and then get a few more candles to actually detect the patterns, actually detect like the pivot points, all of that, right? So that's why I like you guys learning how to read this on your own. But I understand that when you guys are first learning, it's a little hard for our brains to kind of pick that up. So I will keep trying to find accurate pattern detectors inside TradingView. I did add some to the chart on the screener that I have in the app, but we'll keep doing that. Okay. So the chart patterns only matter because if you see here how we have our area of support down here, right? And we have our pre-market high now, which is a level of resistance. Yeah, we have some levels in between, but do you guys see how we made a W here? So these chart patterns, if you go and try to code them and back test them and things like that, they're not always going to be 100%. But they're really good to kind of start trying to train your brain to see them, because it might give you an indication of where to potentially take your trade to. Okay. I had to learn this the hard way because I would always get stuck in chart patterns because I had not learned yet how to identify them. And then I would lose and I'd be like, what the heck? Like, why did we bounce off of here if my next level isn't, until $1 or $2 up here? And then I would zoom out and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got stuck in a W. Okay. So the reason that I want you guys to start being able to identify them is because if you're like, hey, I think, like, you probably won't see it until we make this second part of the W, okay? But if you see this and you see this and you're like, oh, I think if we respect this level of support down here, I think we're making a W. I'm going to get in here at the bottom. That tells you that if we're making a potential W, then this is going to be my first take profit. Okay, I might lock in with my stop loss or my trail stop, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, or maybe next session because we're already 30 minutes in. But I already know that if I'm in a pattern, if I see this and my entry for a W is down here, this is going to be my first take profit. If I have multiple contracts, I might take half and then, leave some runners or whatever it is. But I know that chances are that we might hit here first, right? It's not guaranteed that we're going to keep going up. Sometimes when we have W's, we might stop here and then come back down and make a triple bottom instead of a double bottom. If I see that, okay, we stopped here and we're heading back down, I might write it down to now this is my new take profit. Okay, so that's why it's important to identify these chart patterns and combining them with our levels, combining them with the candlesticks, just so that you know where your entry could be and where your take profit could be. Okay, because as we learned about our Greeks, if we hold on to a trade too long without without buying enough time or taking into consideration like our other Greeks, our implied volatility, our news, all of that, we might get stuck in the back and forth and like this wick right here. And then, yes, it might end up playing out, but we already got out at a loss because it either hit our stop loss or because theta just ate up all our profit. Okay. So that's one chart pattern. I linked let me go to start here. I linked the candlestick trading Bible down here to help you guys start identifying some of these, okay? Because they do have some chart patterns. They have the different candlesticks that we have talked about. They have a little more. They talked about, how to trade them. They talked about, it goes way more in depth that we would be here forever. So it's just an ebook. It's linked in there. I included some flashcards of the ones that I look for the most. But yeah, I was going to link the mouse pad, but I forgot. But I will do that. I just found it on Etsy. I'll go look for it. Top-down analysis checklist. This is the checklist just to show you like what I do every Sunday to what I mark and things like that. Okay. In our videos, I'm going to finish. I really will. I've been so busy doing everything else. But I'm going to finish uploading my old recordings because my old recordings have, my Sunday preps. So it actually walks you through every Sunday what I look for, the earnings, everything. And then I have some live trading videos that I've done, some walkthroughs that I've done of like, hey, this is a trade I took. This is why I got in. This is where I got out. Okay. So all of that's going to be linked because it's a lot of info and I know that we're going to do it. That's a great question. So I usually only do them for my top tickers. So I will do it for SPY. I will do it for NVIDIA. I like doing AMD. I like doing Tesla. And so if I trade more tickers than that, then I rely on, it's down here. I was like, where'd it go? I rely on like my flow feed and then in chart, which is a premium feature, but I added levels in here. So you can see it's not like I added the drawing tools. I won't draw it in here, but I did try to add some of these indicators where, okay, hey, it's telling me how many times it's touched this level. If I see the flow feed, like I see actual activity for that ticker, then I'll go to the chart here. So no, I don't do it for every ticker. But that's why some of these indicators are very handy because I don't have to do it for every ticker. At first, I do want you guys to do as many tickers as possible, though, for the practice. Because the more practice you get, the better your brain will get at seeing these patterns and seeing all of this. But that's why I like my ATR levels because then I know how much it moves. And then I like my pivot points because typically these tend to be pretty good. And then eventually you'll come across tickers and your brain will just pick up like, oh, I see my support there. Oh, I see my resistance here. It'll just start picking all that up. Okay, let me go back to learn. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let me go back to learn because I wanted to make sure that we're covering everything. It's a lot. Let's finish up. We'll finish up advanced charting and price action, and then we'll circle back to accounts and risk, and then options depth, and then the rest. Okay, just because we're already on a trading view. All right, so we've talked about time frames, right? We talked about the higher time frame and the lower time frame. I have mentioned also how I don't recommend going any lower than the 5 minute. And the 5 minute is usually only for my entries. So, for example, do you guys see how I was like, oh, yeah, like we rejected here, we might come down to pre market high. And I saw that on the 30 minute. This is how I like to do it. I like to identify my moves of what we could potentially do on the 1 hour and the 30 minute. And then I might go to my 5 minute, depending how long I'm holding, just to see what we're doing. But if you guys look here, like this to me is too back and forth, right? Like I don't like this only because I'm gonna be like, man, did I read that wrong? And it starts making me second guess myself, right? So I like staying on the higher time frame if I can, as much as possible. And then remember how we kind of talked about how I have learned so many strategies and then I kind of just put things together depending on, things I liked from different strategies. So, your support and resistance, your supply and demand, those are very widely used technical analysis strategies. We briefly have talked about the strat. I think some users asked me. I do have the indicators in here. Let's talk about that real quick, actually. So I'm going to add the strat assistant, right? It's Ricky Z. Carroll. So what I take from the strat, I don't always use all of the strat, but on the higher time frame, it'll give you here like, hey, calls above here, right? Which is like this little green thing. And then, okay, yeah, hold on. Let me come back to that. And then down here is your put, right? So that's how the strat typically will give you trade ideas. I don't mind that, but chances are by the time we're down here, like that the trade is kind of already over. It's pre-market low, right? So you can see how kind of the strategies start overlapping. And then for the call up here, yeah, that might be like, that's pretty good, right? But I mean, it's the same thing here. So what I do take from the strat though is time frame continuity. So there's another one that is it this one or this one? Dang it. I think it was that one. Okay. This is what you can learn though on your own. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. All right. No, I don't see it. Okay. I'm going to have to find it. But as you scroll through, right, you can see what the candle is doing. You can see, hey, on the 6 month, we're green. So we're kind of green, right? On the quarterly, we're green. On the monthly, we're green. On the weekly, we're borderline green. Daily, we're green. 4 hour, we're red. And so all what the strat tells you is trade with the trend, trade with your time frame continuity is what it's called. So I do take that, right? Like if it's mixed where the lower time frame is red, the higher time frame is green, chances are I'm just going to wait till the red kind of quiets down to see if it actually is a put. Or that means that it's going to be a super quick trade. I'm going to be in and out because the higher time frame is green, and so I'm trading against the trend. That's what I meant to say. It's like the time frame continuity. And when I enter, I wait for that candle to pass. So for example, if I was going to enter right now to see if it would continue going down here, I don't trust it yet, like just because I've been jumping around. But say I was going to get into this trade, right? Say I was going to just try to take the put to like this. It's not a whole lot of points. I want to wait till we get to this level, right? And that's where I would take it. But I would press the button when we pass the previous candle. So I would press the button here. So that's something that I took from the strat, because you know how sometimes you're like, okay, cool, I see my entry, but when do I actually press the button? I wait till we pass the previous candle. That's when I press it. Some people say that you leave money on the table like that. Yeah, I might, but that to me makes me feel a little better. It gives me a little more assurance on it. Okay. I wanted to get that out before I read this question. Okay, um so I see the pattern, not necessarily when the candle closes. Yeah, so I well, like, because we're on the 30-minute, I'm not entering a trade here. I want to see what we do with this pre-market high level. Okay. And we have 18 minutes. So that because we have 18 minutes on the 30, I'm going to go down to the 15. We have 3 minutes. So I will wait till the 15-minute candle closes. If we close above my pre-market high, I'll wait till the next candle on the 5 or the 15, depending again how much time frame we have. If I'm like, oh yeah, we're bouncing off, I'll wait till we cross this candle. I feel like we need to come down here so that I can show you guys. So I'm going to add an alert here, and then I'm going to add an alert up here so that I can show you guys. Okay. So your challenge is looking at lower time frame because it looks better there. On a lower time frame, especially with IWM, you get weirded out and you jump out of trades too early. Okay. It looks better on the higher. Your challenge is looking at the higher time frame because it looks better there, and then on your lower time frame, you get weirded out and you jump on trades too early. Is that correct? I think, right? So what you're saying is you look on the higher time frame, it looks good to you, but then when you go to the lower time frame, it freaks you out because it doesn't look good and you jump out. I think is what you're saying. So yeah, that happens, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I say that I don't necessarily like going any lower than the 5, and the 5's even iffy if I'm like trying to look for my entry, but I like staying on the higher time frame. All that means that when you're on the higher time frame though is that one, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to have more assurance that your analysis is correct. But that also means that you just need to buy yourself more time. So no 0 DTE, no 1 DTE. I would do for a day trade or a scalp, I would do minimum 2 to 3 DTE and days till expiration, just to make sense, to give your higher time frame analysis a little bit more room to breathe without theta basically breathing down your neck. Okay. But even if I'm like in and out, I still like looking at my higher time frame, just because again, it gives me more peace of mind, and I'm not like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, you know what I mean? Even if I'm in and out quick. Okay. One of the things that I really want to harp on with you guys too is you don't need to catch this whole move. Okay. Because we're trading stock options and we have the Greeks, remember that 1 point move is your delta. So even just moving from 747.82 to 748.82 is going to give you whatever your delta is. Okay. So 1 point move, start with that. Okay. And then, or even half a point move, like at first, if you're really scared, but 1 point move is really good. You can always add more contracts, or you can buy yourself more time to start holding on to it longer on your higher time frame. Okay. But I don't want you guys to feel like you guys see all these traders online and you have to catch the whole move for you guys to make a lot of money or for you guys to be good traders. Like, I love 1 point moves. I love day trading. I love scalping. I like making my money and being done for the day in the morning. And then like, that's it, you know? So I do want to harp that. And then the percentage, focus on percentage. I know I've talked about this before on don't focus on the dollar amount that you guys are making. So for example, you buy one contract and you only made $50, or $60, but then that was actually 20-30% of your trade. That's really good. So focus on that, not the $50 or the $60. Okay. So that was my soapbox. Okay. So this actually is perfect. So you're looking at a 1 minute chart, right? And you see a strong green candle. You enter the call. The trade immediately reverses. So you switch to the 5 minute chart and it shows that you entered at the top of resistance zone that you didn't see before because we were on the 1 minute, right? What happened and what's the lesson here? Is it A, the 1 minute gave a false signal? Is it B, you made a time frame specific decision without checking the broader context first? Is it C, resistance zones appear only on lower time frames? Or is it D, that the candle size was too small to be tradable? B. Yep, I like it. I like it. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So I was supposed to unlock all my lessons, but I didn't. Okay, so time frame continuity is what I talked about, right? Which is a strat framework, but I really like it. So this is why I say that I won't ever sit here and tell you guys that one strategy is better than another, because if you stick to one strategy, it's going to work, right? That's where the problem with a lot of people is. I mean, I fell into that trap where I would strategy hop, I would mentor hop, I would join this group, I would join this other group. And then eventually, once I really took the time to learn the charts and like took the time to go through and like actually stuck to a strategy, I realized that they all kind of talked about the same thing. They all just kind of had different names for it. And then I just kind of figured out like, oh, you know what? I like how this strategy does this thing. I think this strategy likes this thing because that worked for my brain. Okay. And so that's what I'm trying to bring to you guys is I'm trying to give you all the knowledge that I have and how I think about it, but I ultimately still give you more knowledge so that you guys develop your own strategy based on your brain. Okay. And that's why the journal and aura are free, is because we're all different. Okay. And I want everybody to get this as much as possible. Anyway, so the time frame continuity is what we just talked about, right? Yes, there's indicators that I need to find because I know that they have it, but you can do it manually. You can just go through each time frame, click through, see what the candle is looking like, and then that will tell you the time frame continuity. Okay. So the higher time frame defines a trend, the lower time frame is your entry, which is what we just talked about. I personally like the 30 minute, the 1 hour, and then 15 or 5 for entries, depending on what it's looking like. I showed you guys the 5. The 5 looked very choppy, but the 15 minute didn't look bad. Okay. I'm going to open the screener. Okay. So on the screener, if you guys go in here, time frame continuity, I did add it on here. If you just want like, hey, I only want uptrends, you can do up, and then you can select what time frames you want. If you want any, you can't select time frames, but it will tell you time frame continuity here, and it'll tell you, let me go back. It'll tell you if it's mixed, if it's an uptrend, if it's a downtrend, it'll tell you all of that. And then as you guys can see, if you click on it, it'll take you to that chart. In here, I kind of built in all the indicators more or less that I use, that some of my other students really like to use. My experienced students, right, like to use. And so, for example, we talked about the relative volume, right? We've already talked about volume that you find inside your broker. So this is kind of like that. But then relative volume tells you, is that normal for that ticker? Because every ticker is going to be the same, right? For example, like SPY gets traded so much, like 23.4 million, but that's not even half of its normal volume. Okay. But if you had that kind of volume on, say, SanDisk, right, SNDK, that's kind of crazy because look at it. Like it's almost to its 1.1 times relative volume, right? And it's nowhere near 23.6. So this is just meant to help you like, okay, cool. Is this normal? Like, is this abnormal? Can we catch that abnormal move? The ATR, this is just telling you, it doesn't tell you how the SATI ATR on TradingView does, but it still gives you that percentage. Okay. And yeah, so all right, let's go back to learn. All of this, is it helping kind of bring the chart together? Okay, I'm going to say yes. Okay, so the daily chart, yes, but how did I build the confidence to sit through it? I just kept trying, honestly. The candles to close. Actually, okay, what broker are you on? What broker are you using? So next session, we can start Robinhood and Webull. Okay, so next session, we will go over Thinkorswim, and then if we have time, we'll go over Webull. I have not personally used Robinhood, so I will find resources for you. But I want to start going over the broker, because the broker, then we can start talking about entries, right? We can start talking about some of their premium charts that they have, because that actually might help you. I think Webull has it, but that might help you. Okay, so let's do this quiz. Well, let me look at, what do we have? Okay, so we have break and retest, right? Which we have entries. So yeah, I really want to do that. I want to talk about the brokers, right? Because we already talked about the charts. We haven't necessarily touched on entry specifically, but I did tell you guys where you would kind of enter, right? Like if we have a really good candlestick, really good, like a candlestick that is indicating whether buyers or sellers are in control, right? Your dojis, your hammers, your shooting stars, I don't think I covered hangman, but in the book it's in there. If we have that at support or at resistance, right, which is just one of our key levels, those are what I'm going to be looking for. Okay. Our break and retest, we'll cover that again. I briefly covered it last time. Our pullbacks and reversals, our gaps. So we have Friday, and then I'm probably going to do all of next week, because we just have so much to cover. But I hope that you guys are learning. We already kind of talked about trends. We didn't cover about trend lines. I have mentioned confluence a lot. So confluence is just when everything is telling you that your analysis is on point. Okay, that's what the word confluence means. Because I remember people would always say confluence, and I'd be like, okay, but what does that mean? It just means like that your analysis, like everything in your analysis, is correlating and it's connecting. Okay. I briefly mentioned the first 15 minutes, how I will just sit on my hands all night, look at flow feed and stuff like that. But I usually don't trade the first 15 minutes, because that's usually when people are taking profits, right? Like big money, prices settling, like all news are hitting. So I just kind of wait. All right, the first 15 minutes. Volume profile, we've kind of talked about that, I think. And we've talked about how to full process start to finish. Okay, cool. So we've done most of this. Average to range, we've done most of this, because again, I tend to get ahead because I just I just go. And then I will unlock this. So next session, brokers, the chart on the broker. I want to talk about the premium chart, because that might help you hold on to trades a little bit more. I know for sure it helped me. And then we'll circle back to a little bit more charts, and then we'll go and put them together. Okay. Any questions? We have about 5 minutes. Good. I'm glad you think it's good stuff. I really enjoy this. Like I like helping people learn. I like it when people are like, hell yeah, I got this. And I'm trying to drink my nootropics before class so that my brain focuses and slows down. Oh, yeah, I don't think we did. Okay, so the daily chart on SPY shows a clear downtrend, right? So we have lower highs and lower lows, and then we have price below the 50-day EMA. So EMA is another indicator that we have, okay? On the 5-minute chart, you see a sharp green candle off of a support level. A friend texts you saying it looks like a reversal and he's buying calls. What do you do? But we have the higher time frame showing a clear downtrend. Remember that. Is it A, you buy calls? Is it B, pass or wait? C, buy puts? Or D, switch to the 1 minute for a tighter entry to reduce risk? Yep, B. I like it. I like it. Yeah. I wouldn't even buy puts really because it could also trap you there, right? It could just be a wick. What I said earlier was called slippage. There could be some slippage past it, and then we actually do end up going up for a pullback. So it's okay to wait. All right. I feel like when we look at trading on social media and all of that, we see people talking about their trades and all the things, but 95% of the time it's just sitting and waiting. Yeah, I know. I know. I think eventually we get tired of our own ish. I don't want to cuss because I don't know who's on here, but eventually we get tired of our own ish, and then we kind of just start doing better, right? I think especially too, like once you start journaling and you have it like glaring in your face and you have aura telling you like, hey, I'm hoping that might help us do better. If you go to the mindset call inside here, I'm going to go to continue so it marks it. If you go into, yeah, I know. That is the hardest part for a lot of people. If we go to psychology and somatic, I do talk about in the mindset workshop is one of them. I have more videos that I want to add. It's like almost 2 hours long, but I do talk about a lot of the psychology, right? Because I think everybody talks about psychology, everybody talks about how important it is and things like that, but I think it's important to realize that trading just reflects who we are. You know what I mean? So if we're very impulsive as a person, then we might be very impulsive in trading. Okay. And I speak that from experience. I had you guys in the onboarding take your 16 personalities test because that kind of helps you realize how you make decisions. So I'm an INFP, like borderline E, right? But I'm a very feelings person. And so I had to learn how to be analytical because I used to make emotions based decisions. Not so much anymore, but that's because I learned that about myself and I worked really, really hard at it. Yeah. So, any questions? How are we feeling? Are we feeling? And you will always hear me say, "How are we feeling?" Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you do the same thing, right? Like if you treat this like a job and if that works for you, like, okay, I need to make these decisions and hold myself accountable because I'm reporting to, my boss, even though it's you. That might help. That helps some people. Okay, so I said Friday we're gonna talk brokers, and then next week we can focus on having the 3 sessions, talk about power hour, talk about the 15-minute flow, and putting everything together. All right. I know that this is a lot, and I feel like it goes by so fast, but I hope you guys are learning. All right, guys, I will upload this video as soon as it processes. YouTube told me that it automatically saves it, so I really hope it automatically saves it because that's what it said. And then I'll upload it in the. Yeah, you're so welcome. So welcome. And like I said, if you guys have any questions along the way, make sure you guys drop them in the community. I'm going to fix this scroll because if not, we'll scroll forever to get to the bottom. So I'm going to fix it, put the scroll in here. But drop questions that if you guys have any, if you guys are having issues with anything, I try to be quick about fixing things. And with that, I will see you guys on Friday. Bye.